Check. Keep it alive through these lines I write. I keep it live cause I thrive. I might just blow your mind tonight. I'm so hyped, but it's no hype. From this height, it's direct hits on sight. I'm your type, lend me your ears to show you that there's something in me. I'm not giving up, I'm standing right here, holding these days hostage. And I'll make this my year. We turning fear into love, and the love's in the air. I love doing this cause nothing compares. Nothing can share that same type of feeling when you feeling and flare. They can't catch it, it's havoc. I rip to a tear, switch the scenario. My stereos, I leave them impaired. Variables start to change and they're all in my range. I just gotta grab it, it's all mathematics. Every step is drastic, I make it fantastic. I'm trying to take your breath away. Asthmatic.
This is live through the stereo. Go and let it blow, blow through the stereo. I'ma let them know through the stereo. Yo, here we go through the stereo, stereo. This is live through the stereo. Go and let it blow, blow through the stereo. I'ma let them know through the stereo. Yo, here we go through the stereo, stereo.
Yeah, just nod your head with it, so explicit and vivid. Every image is intricate, intimate. I put my all into it, no scrimmage and no rules. I'm a pro tool, hear my heartbeat, beat into the vocals. I'm so loco, lost my mind, oh no. It's ponderoso, dope, so no overdose, cause it's dope, yo. Man, this is house grown, mixed with some milestones. So I let the style flow down like the Dow Jones, bringing it with some foul tones, letting the crowd know we getting loud, so it's eardrum rudiments. Yeah, we bring it rude again. Move, little hooligan. Music for tuning in, full time to the 10. I'm on my clock like I told you. I'm doing this for dreams.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Anti-Media Radio once again with your host Nick Burnaby here on UCY.TV, and I'm joined also by my co-host DB Schwartz. How you doing, bro?
I'm doing good, man. Doing good.
What do you think about this stock market run that we've been seeing that started last week? I mean, it's pretty crazy, and stuff that we talk about all the time. But I mean, you know a little more about stocks and stuff than I do. What do you think about this thing?
I think it all hinges on the fact that Gazprom, which is like Russia's oil giant, basically their huge oil and natural gas giant, just announced an agreement with China, and I believe that the oil is going to be traded in yuans very soon because the Middle East is quite frankly drained out and too volatile. And Russia's about to open the floodgates of the Siberian wilderness, so to speak, and tap into all this stuff because they want to shift the paradigm. Everybody senses we're in a weak place right now as a country, and people want to shift the power. And they're doing everything they can to do it, and the death of the dollar is going to usher in a shift of the power.
Yeah, and it's like you were saying, man. It's like this whole Russian thing. It's slipping away, and you know the Ukrainian stock market got nailed. So that, I mean, their whole economy is like on the verge of collapse at this point. And this just goes to show what happens when you get a taste of this Western democracy. You know, you sign the IMF deal right before your economy crashes. Right. And then when your economy goes bankrupt, then guess who owns all your assets? The banks. The central bankers, you know, and it's just like the same game over and over again.
I mean, it boils down to the whole end game, which is somebody's got to win. And these proxy wars are more or less targeting what's left of the resistance to the IMF itself and then the banking system at large. There's Iran, there's North Korea, there's Cuba. They're the last three countries that don't have a centrally owned bank with Rothschild ties. So what you're seeing in the Ukraine is basically it's already been dominated economically and even militarily. I mean, yeah, Russia gave them back a lot of their territory, but only to keep them as a puppet client state. And now what's happening is that, well, there's things inside of the Ukraine that are quite valuable, and the powers that be want them, and they're competing for them. And I believe that Putin has won this round because in Crimea, there was not only the pipelines, but also that super ancient pyramid structure. I don't know if you read into that at all.
Yeah, you talked about that, I think, a week or two ago.
Right. And it's coming that, you know, more and more secrets are coming out about this, that this pyramid is the oldest pyramid ever found through carbon dating. And it has a lot of things that are hieroglyphic, but they're pre-hieroglyphic. And you have to understand, Ukraine's been a breadbasket for multiple thousands of years. It sits right on the Black Sea and the Caspian Sea, and it gets fed by all these tributaries, and there's all kinds of fresh, clean water. It is a breadbasket, and that's why Russia wants to carve it up and grab as much of the valuable parts as possible.
I was looking at a map today of Ukraine, and they got a lot of water down there, man.
Yes, they do.
A lot of water. So yeah, they're able to grow tons and tons of crops. Now that's one of the geopolitical, things that are valuable for Russia and the West, because, if the West can instill this banking structure, then guess what? They're going to be getting basically tax money from all that stuff, because they're just going to start devaluing their currency. And essentially any productiveness of that country ends up going to inflation and stolen by the bankers, more or less, right?
Sure.
And then
it's just a resource grab. Let's keep it simple. Everybody likes to make everything complicated and to make war and conflict, and especially proxy war, complicated. And proxy war is just naked aggression for resources. That's all it is. There's no intention to take Ukraine over. They just want to slice it up, grab whatever archaeological values in there, control some pipelines and some farmland, and that's about it. I don't know if you read earlier this week that Putin came out and said, you know what, we're going to ban GMOs in Russia because we don't need them. Does anyone think that grabbing a huge breadbasket part of Ukraine didn't coincide with that? Does anyone not think that food security is national security, and grabbing a big grain producing region means we don't have to ship GMO poison crops from the U.S. to feed our people anymore?
Exactly. And it's also probably a geopolitical move too, because he knows that 90% of the U.S. corn supply is grown GMO, 96% of it or whatever. So he's like, okay, well, if we cut them off, then, that's going to hurt them. And
it's lunacy, because if Russia won't eat it and China won't eat it and we're eating it, our own leadership is slowly but surely killing and weakening their own population. So that shows they have zero loyalty to us, and they have no country. These people have no loyalty except to power. That's it. If anything should make you convinced that there is no more government in this country, it is our food supply. There's nowhere else in the world that is so absolutely inundated with GMOs as we are, and that's on purpose.
Oh, well, that's maybe because Big Pharma likes their diabetes and all that cancer and all these diseases.
It's because people don't have value anymore, Nick. So the elites, they know robots and automation will control almost everything within 10 or 20 years, and they're just trying to weed everyone out as fast as possible.
Yeah, it's really sad, man, because we're not seeing any real even attempts by the legislature at like actually solving these problems that we're getting ready to face.
They eat organic. They eat organic. They have the best. I don't know if anybody's ever seen a water filtration unit on an industrial scale, but the gunk that comes out of the tap that collects in these huge cauldrons is unbelievable. Unbelievable. I have a friend that works actually for the San Diego Water District, Nick, and he tells me that the stuff that they comb out is huge, and then a bunch gets through because, they can only filter so many times. They have a budget. So you're talking about people that aren't eating irradiated food. They're eating organic food. They're eating hydroponic food with pure water. And every time they're inside, they're in a completely controlled, clean, serene environment that's very sterile. I mean, the elites know what's up. They know the environment's toxic. They're creating it that way, and it's only going to boost profits when they come up with carbon taxes and all these other environmental regulatory fees they're going to come up with.
Yeah. The funny thing is that they're going to throw in all these regulations as if it's going to like somehow punish these companies. That's like saying Obamacare is actually punishing the insurance companies.
Right.
Like, no, if they put all these regulations, guess what? That's just more theft on you. That's more money they're taking from you.
Yeah. I mean, everybody I've talked to it blows their mind, which shows me the simplicity of the American public. Okay. My own friends included, that when I tell them Obamacare isn't anywhere near what you think it is. They said, hey, you know what? It's great. Now everyone has health care. You mean everyone's forced to pay for it? What do you mean? What I mean is that you have a job that gives you the benefit of health care and you still pay for it. Imagine not having a job and then getting a bill for health care. Does that make any sense to you? And they're like, no. Well, that's what Obamacare does. it forces you to buy something, and it makes a monopoly. Because if you look at a state-by-state basis, we have all the same healthcare providers in every state. They change their name and they have different subsidiaries, but it's a monopoly, pure and true.
It's like big oil. It's like any other. It's like the mainstream media. It's like any other thing. Yeah, there's a few companies that hold a monopoly over that sector, and then they control a bunch of politicians. Which, let's face it, Obamacare was basically written by lobbyists from the insurance companies. So yeah, you think a lobbyist that's writing a law for an insurance company is going to screw them over or hook them up?
Right. So, and it's just there to maximize profits. Here's how it boils down. The people that own any kind of medical company at all, be it supplies, be it insurance, be it whatever, they are the same exact corporate parent that own all of the food manufacturing, Cargill, Cisco, and everything else. They know already from their own testing that GMOs produce cancer in lab rats. They know that. It's a fact. It's proven. A French scientist proved it without a doubt, and especially in mammals because of the way that our physiology works. These genetically modified organisms transfer their poisonous DNA untested to us, and yes, that's proven. And it causes cancer because what does a body do with a foreign object it can't expel? It surrounds it with other cells, and then those cells eventually break down, and then it becomes a cancer. Same thing that happens with the root canal. You know what I mean? The dead part in you.
You also got all these Roundup Ready crops, which are going to be they're basically doused with Roundup, and that's not even the worst of it. The worst of it is when this glyphosate seeps into the water supply. And then you see countries like Sri Lanka that just banned Roundup and a few other agrochemicals a few weeks ago because it was combining in with their water, and the heavy metals in their tap water was between that and the glyphosate was causing kidney disease.
And guess what the bonus is for the people in charge from what glyphosate does? It emasculates male organisms. It literally goes into our physiology and emasculates us. It decreases our sperm count. It actually has been linked to breast growth in males and testicle shrinkage in males. They're doing this on purpose, Nick, because what is an emasculated public? Just answer that. It's a public that will do whatever they want, right? It's a public more or less, and pardon the pun, but without balls. So it's making a public that is docile, that will never resist, because even the men are emasculated.
Yeah, I mean, there's just so many different variables with all this GMO, all this pesticides, and all this stuff. And for it to be considered fringe to try to want to have clean food and clean water, it just shows how much of a grip all these corporations really do have on the mind state and the propaganda that goes out.
And you're so right, Nick, because I even get flack from people that go, "Oh, you're eating organic." What do you mean? You mean that I don't want to eat poison? And that suddenly is a bad thing? It's kind of like back in the day when you were smart and got good grades, people call you a dork and a nerd, but now you're rich and they're working at McDonald's. Well, guess what? In 10 years, you're going to have fatty cancer, and I'm going to be all right.
Pretty much.
I mean, it's going to boil down to that. It really is. I've already had enough scares with my own health to realize that poor food equals poor health. Poor food equals a messed up stomach, and then that affects everything in your life. Even your mind is affected by your physical state. So, everybody I know that goes, "Oh, you're eating organic, you're spending money." What are you spending your money on? What do you spend? Are you going out and drinking? Because I basically have stopped drinking for the most part. It's by and large something I don't go out and do anymore. So reposition yourself. And the next phase is to grow, right? That's what we always talk about, is to grow so much food we don't go to the store anymore.
Yeah, I mean, when you grow in your own food, then you're actually saving money. You're not spending extra money to eat organic. You're saving money. You're eating for less and you're eating way better.
Exactly.
My kale is growing so fast now, man, and it's starting to sprout down at the sides where we already took the leaves off from. In 3 weeks, man, I'll be able to eat we'll be able to get a quarter pound of kale out of my aquaponic garden a day. That's enough for
Wow.
Yeah, man, that's enough for kale chips every single day, basically.
And you know what? I don't understand why people don't get this going, because kale grows like a weed. It's just prodigious how fast it grows, and it's literally one of the 5 top foods for the human body. You put that up there with a couple other beans, spinach, and broccoli, and some other stuff. It's a superfood, and if you can grow in an aquaponics setup, imagine you go to the store and pay, I don't know, $2 a pound for that, $3 a pound, maybe $4 for organic, and you're getting it for free.
Basically, man. And once I get my electricity off grid, I'll really, cut my costs down. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. And I read today you were going to do what? What are you going to make? Some kind of new engine?
I'm going to try to make a power generator out of like an exercise machine, like a weightlifting machine, using like gravity batteries instead of using regular batteries. I think we talked about that a few times.
Right.
But, that kind of brings us up to this March Against Monsanto event that's coming up on May 24th. And this one's looking to be big, man. And just look at how far we've come in 1 year. It's only been a year. It's not even been a year yet since the first March Against Monsanto. And look at all these developments that we've seen happen. I mean, there's no saying that this thing hasn't worked, and it's working. And it's all about just continuing to bring these ideas to the forefront. And now, like here in San Diego, how many farmers markets do we have now? Like 30? There used to be only a handful.
Right. I mean, it used to be kind of passé and poo-pooed by people saying, oh, these are new age hippies, and they go to Whole Foods. And now people, they're starting to get it. GMO is starting to become a 4-letter word. It really is. I'm starting to talk to people and they're like, wait. Pesticides are one thing. We kind of get that, and we figure we can wash them off, even though I still tell them you really can't because they get into the cell. But GMOs are totally different. GMOs are putting another organism into something you're eating. What do you think that's going to happen when you metabolize it? I mean, you're going to take some of that stuff. It's recombinant or whatever the hell they call that stuff, but you will absorb it. You will. And you will be affected. Your body doesn't know it can't do anything with this stuff. This is being done on purpose, for sure.
Yeah, there was just a study that came out that showed. Now, this is a little bit different, but I think that there's a good chance that it works kind of the same way. There was a study that just came out that showed that when a woman has sex with a guy and he ejaculates inside or whatever, the woman actually carries around that DNA for years and years and years, man. So what I'm thinking here is that like possibly that we're eating this DNA that is like foreign. It's not natural. It's two different. It's part pig and part tomato or whatever. Part corn and part bacteria.
Right.
And
they're putting frog genes into orange juice so that they can take particular characteristics out of it. Yet all of these same exact genetic codes are continuing on. It's not like they're being destroyed or filtered out. They're just kind of like, yeah, this is a good trait. Let's throw in whatever. Let's splice everything. Forget it. Let's let the public at large be the guinea pigs. This is Operation Paperclip to the T. To the T. It's like when they were giving, African American men STDs in the South to see what would happen when they went untreated. This is just it's just corporate criminality at this point. The food supply is criminal in our country.
Well, we posted an article today from Patty Beers, which is the live streamer from Los Angeles, and matter of fact, she's going to be writing for the Anti-Media here and there. And if it's on the Anti-Media right now under Police State, you guys can check it out. But apparently, kind of on the point you were just saying about Operation Paperclip, apparently 58% of the people that get killed by the cops are the people with mental illness. Can you believe that percentage? 58% of the people that are killed by cops have mental illness.
Well, they're not trained. I mean, Nick, would you want to be a police officer because you understand the job? You cannot find qualified individuals because the pay is atrocious. $42,000 to start. I mean, we need to have it at 90 and have college degrees mandatory, and then we don't have these problems. You have guys that literally cannot handle this job. Okay, the applicant pool is garbage at this point because no one wants to be a cop, just like no one wants to be in the Army or the Navy or the Air Force and do the bidding of these damn greedy pigs that wear human skin, dude. Nobody wants to work for these corporate masters anymore. So we're getting poor quality. Even the old cops now are quitting and talking shit about the new crop. I know you know for a fact that there's old cops now that are they're part of the so-called patriot or constitutional movement because they understand and they see what's going on in their own ranks.
Yeah, there's a organization, I saw one of them speak. I think it's called Law Enforcement for Drug Reform or something, or marijuana legalization, something like that. But yeah, man, like it's like these soldiers that come back and then they're like anti-war. It's because they've been able to see the beast from the inside. They're intelligent enough to realize, damn, what we're doing isn't right. And so when they get out, that's why you have these organizations like Vets for Peace. You got a bunch of Vietnam veterans and young guys that come back from Afghanistan that realize how much of a, just an F job it was to go over there and all that stuff that they had to deal with. And
can we talk about Fort Hood then? I mean, this is to me like a perfect transition since more information's come out about this Ivan Lopez guy. I mean, this is a guy, he is the face of PTSD. He is the face of it. He went over, he saw horrible things, and he did tweet and blog about them. And there are records they're rapidly trying to get rid of them, but people are filing them away and reposting them online. This is a guy that basically said, hey, like my soul is gone from what I've been forced to do. Now, whatever that was, he wasn't too specific on it, but we know what these guys are being asked to do over there, the inhuman things they're doing in the name of people that look at them as nothing. They really consider them peons and beasts of burden. And this is the blowback. This is what we call self-inflicted blowback right here. Right here. This guy, he went nuts and he came home and he let it out. And there will be more of these, and there's going to always be these because these are unjust wars. These are not World War II wars. These are wars of corporate conquest. Some of the first in the world in thousands and thousands of years to be perpetuated.
And you have to think, I mean, what else are they doing to these guys that are making them get this way, man? Because look how many people are coming down with PTSD. Look how many of these guys are committing suicide. More guys, there's almost, I forget the number, it's almost like 5,000 a year now.
Right.
Of these guys committing suicide, or 2,000 a year or something like that. It's ridiculous.
Well, it's at the point now where more have killed themselves than have died in combat, I believe.
And it's almost impossible for these guys to get any help when they get back. It's like they use them when they're fighting the war, and when they get back, they're like, oh, whatever now.
Well, they do. They help them the way that it is mandated in the U.S. by Big Pharma, which is pump them full of drugs and therapy once a week, maybe, when these guys should be getting it 5 days a week and probably be not on base, but be somewhere on an island decompressing because they just had to do the most unspeakable things for $38,000 a year. I mean, this is the reality, man. When you look outside and see our country and look at our consumerism, it's purchased and paid for by the blood of not just people on the other side of the world, but our own guys. And they tend to bring it home. They tend to bring it home because now the bases are disarmed. They're gun free. How ironic is that? Is there any other military in the world that disarms their soldiers on base? I want to know that. Besides maybe the UK. Do even the French disarm their soldiers?
They're just so afraid of their own guys.
Because they'll overthrow them.
Yeah, and
they are paranoid beyond belief. I mean, everybody that's in charge now should be out of office based on the fact that they don't trust our own military.
It's crazy, man. And you said it last week, I think, on Wednesday, about how they, when what's his name, Panetta went to the base over in Afghanistan, they disarmed the whole base. They said, all right, everyone's got to check their guns in.
Right, and let's just get the pull the cat out of the bag. Let's get it over with. Feinstein right now is pulling the biggest 180 I've ever seen in my life with her going after the CIA. We see now that DHS is fighting CIA because Feinstein is the face of the TSA/DHS. We see federal versus another federal. There's fighting inside the company. The company's going to break up soon. The country's going to go with it. all these things are going to happen. I mean, do people not get that? And we can prevent them, but we have to wake up. People need to wake up. This Ivan Lopez guy is the first of many people coming home that are sick because we made them sick.
Now, you know, you got the stock market showing its cracks. You got this huge revelation that came out last week about how these guys are all skimming off the top of the stock market just because they have fast fiber optic cables.
It's fixed. They're doing 1 million trades per minute with advanced quantum algorithms with computers that are 100 years ahead of me and yours, Nick, because they have access to that because they can spend $1 million on an IBM quantum computer and use it for trading. And it's not even, if you have a 401k now, just dissolve it. Buy silver. Seriously. At least then you can physically control your wealth. Because otherwise you're literally just you're not even a pawn. You're like a pea on a chessboard. You're a peon. They'll do whatever they want with your money. It's a tiny bit of a big pool, and they'll steer it the way that makes them the profits, and you have to pay service fees. That's just how it works.
Yeah, and they'll charge you to make money off your money, and then they'll create money out of thin air when they lose.
Yep, exactly. You hit it on the head. It's a no win for you and a no lose for them. The only way to really kind of preserve your labor is through precious metals. Or if you're knowledgeable enough, maybe you can do it in collectibles. Some people I know collect art and other things like that. That's why the rich buy art, because they're things people will use as wealth transfer. But I mean, honestly, if you keep more than a couple grand in the bank or something like that, or whatever you need for month to month, there's a chance they may do a run one day and you're emptied out.
Yeah, and then
it's better to have silver coins buried somewhere and enough guns to protect them. I mean, it sounds silly, but it's getting the cracks in the machine are showing right now.
Yeah, and you know, obviously there's something big coming. I don't know if it has to do with this, what's been happening this past few days with the stocks or not. But with these bankers that are getting killed, guess what? Another one hits today. CEO of the Bank of Liechtenstein was murdered, whacked by a guy that supposedly calls himself the Robin Hood of Liechtenstein.
So Liechtenstein is, if I'm not mistaken, kind of this semi-autonomous city-state that it looks like it's smaller than our city, Nick, and it's a country. And it has, I don't know, more banks per square mile than anywhere else in the world.
Yeah,
so it's a banking
like that.
enclave. It's a banking enclave in the middle of Europe.
Yeah, it's probably like a little debt, a little wealth.
It's Switzerland, more or less.
Basically, yeah, more or less. So yeah, this guy gets knocked off. So, I don't know, man. It's like there is something definitely on the horizon here, some kind of big news. There's no way we can predict what it is. I mean, it could be what we've been talking about where we're going to have a real big, monetary crisis, maybe a dollar crisis or whatever. But either way, I mean, take these things as signs. That's what I'm doing. I guess I can't really say what your exact situation is out there, but these things are kind of like signs that we have to just read and as they come in, and just as things get worse, slowly just, hedge yourself with some, grow a garden, hedge yourself with some kind of, things you can barter with or get really good at something that can be, worth something someday. I mean, whatever it is, if everyone takes little steps now, that not only will that help you in the future if things do get bad, but by the chances are is that if you do that, you're getting off the grid with the monetary system, so you're helping to starve the beast as well, and that's a big part of it, is starving this beast out.
And that's long term. That's going to be, this is phase 2, because phase 1 is going to be circumventing whatever it is they're going to try to propose for this financial reset. We know it's coming. We know the dollar will collapse because they want that. They want 330 million people that are sucking all the resources of the world to be impoverished, and really ultimately do want us to revolt so that they can clamp down on us fully and wipe out a good portion of the population, a la Hunger Games too. The thing to do is offset it. Get away from it while we still can finance things. People put up solar panels. All these things are great. Just finance it all. Put it all on credit, because the credit's going to be worthless and everything will reset technically, and all the debt will be called in on each person. You know how we have a national debt, Nick? That's because they know that not everybody would pay. So if they ever came up with something where they did a reset and funneled everyone into FEMA camps, they'll just straight up highway robbery and rip everything off you have. It happened before. It'll happen again if we let it. We have to be smarter than that, and we have to get away from this system and stop playing by their rules.
I mean, it happens all the time, man. I mean, it happened to the Jews big time in Germany.
There you go.
Stripped them clean.
Exactly. Because why? They were a minority population that were marginalized, taken advantage of, stripped of their wealth. Now, did it bring the German people a good life like they thought it would? Yeah, they might have had a good year in 1939 when the war started and they were on top of the world. But man, by 44, it was awful. And then people there, I mean, most people don't know, but the German citizenry was absolutely massacred. The Russian army held no quarter. Because why? Man. Why the Germans held no quarter when they invaded Russia? So you have no idea. I mean, you're talking about a genocide on the Jews. The German citizens lost, I believe, around 4 or 5 million of their own after the war. And that was done by starvation and all kinds of other things. So misery begets misery is the moral of the story.
Yeah, and like we saw with the Jews, it was a population that they were able to scapegoat, and being that they were a minority, they were able to scapegoat on them. Just like you got a lot of these ignorant people that are coming out against illegal immigration.
Or Islam.
Yeah, and Islam, as if that's like why our economy sucks so bad.
There's 1 billion people in the world who are Muslim. I don't think that they're all insane, or else this world would be much worse. And are illegal immigrants taking jobs that we would take ourselves? The answer is no. So there's always moot points. They're logically inconsistent. It's just that people love to be emotional. They love to divide themselves because it makes you feel so special to have an opinion about something, even if it's stupid.
Well, and anyone that's against immigration is probably a Fox News watcher. I mean, that's just a kind of a given.
It's like, what do you think are you Navajo? That's my question to you. Are you Sioux? Because if you're not, you are an immigrant. And not only an immigrant, but a genocidal white man. At least I am. I know, Nick, you probably have some Indian in you, but.
I mean, all the land was stolen, and now it's like, oh, well, no, these people, we gotta send these people home, they're screwing up our economy. Dude, don't you realize that if you had a real economy, immigration is one of the best things for your economy.
It's great. The market gets bigger, and so there's more people to sell stuff to. But the thing is that innovation in our country is outsourced. You have to understand that we outsource everything, including our poverty. And we can't do that forever. I mean, we could, but we'd have to go to war forever. And I guess finally, after all these years, China and Russia are close enough to where we don't want to risk it, because if we thought we could beat them together and we could just dominate them, we'd probably already be fighting them.
Yeah, I saw a article today on Zero Hedge, which basically said that Russia, when all things included, economics, ties, and trade deals, all this stuff, in a lot of ways, China is the strongest country in the world right now.
Well, they have capital, which is important, and they have it in wealth, meaning money, and they have it in human labor, and obviously automated factories are in existence and people only count for so much, but 1.3 billion people are still a damn lot of minds and a lot of ways to come up with things. And if 5 people were thinking about something compared to 1 person, which is basically what China is over America, about 5 to 1 for people, do you really think that the smartest guy is going to beat 5 average intelligence? That's the problem, is there's 1.3 billion people that can all think and are all kind of one ethnic group and all one country, and they've been that way forever, and they're unified.
For now.
Yep. I mean, they'll splinter again.
Historically, China always implodes on itself, just like any other bureaucracy. And see, that's the thing, is that bureaucracy, while it is the downfall of us, it's also the downfall of itself, because eventually it eats itself. It becomes cannibalistic, and it's stagnant. It ends up consuming itself.
Right. It's homogenous. You know what I mean? It's the same thing happening in Japan. China's going to repeal the One Child Act, and they've said that over the last, I don't know when they instituted that, I believe it was 2 decades ago, that the One Child Act prevented about 400 million additional pregnancies. So this world of 7 point whatever billion could be easily 7.5, 7.6 billion. And China could be at 1.7 billion right now in the blink of an eye. And they're going to repeal that. And the reason why is because you can't have an entire country of single male children, which is what's happening because they want the family name to continue.
Yeah, and then you got a huge cockfest.
You do. You have something like 10 million Chinese men right now that are between 18 and 40 that are single. And that essentially they would be the cannon fodder of any war because, they'll just tell them we're conscripting you and these guys have nothing holding them back. No families or nothing.
Oh man. It's yeah, exactly, man. They just have so many people. And they show they show a lack of respect for life as it is.
Oh, they have no respect. I mean, you've seen pictures and videos of people being hit by cars and run over multiple times and no one hitting them. And I've seen knife fights where people kill a cop in the street and no one does they don't care, man. They really don't. When you have 1.3 billion people, what's another person dying?
Oh man, that's crazy. Just thinking about it, man.
And no morality because no religion. I mean, I'm not a religious guy, but I understand what it is. And a lot of people use it as a guidebook. And when you outlaw all religion, I mean, the morality it's gone, dude. That's a total cattle country right there. That's a nation of sheeple if ever there was one.
Yeah. And chances are that those people can be stampeded into doing something really stupid.
Oh yeah. Not only can they be, but they will be. They're gearing them up for it right now. They'll implode their own economy to try to do some kind of crazy stuff just like we will. Because there's nothing that's as distracting as being hungry.
And let's face it, China's never really had much of a imperialistic kind of attitude.
No.
Other than when China was under the control of the Mongols, which is different because those were the Mongolians.
Right.
But China's never really been one to having, they never really had colonies. They never really invaded that many countries and things like that. They've been invaded quite a few times. They've been exploited quite a few times. And I guarantee you there's some kind of underlying, anger about all those abuses that have taken place in the past. I wonder how they feel about the Japanese after what the Japanese did to them in World War II.
They hate them. The people that are still controlling China, much like here, are people that won their spoils far, far, far in the past. Thousands and thousands. I mean, the Triad is the oldest secret society, the largest secret society. They control things much like the Illuminati or whatever you'd like to call them control the West, where they've been there for thousands of years, and they control everything, man. They control it completely with more of an iron fist than you can believe even here has.
Yeah, over there they're not as good as at the propaganda as we are here. So over here people do it, they'll do it voluntarily more or less.
Exactly. There's not a harder working slave than one that thinks it's free. Now see, the West understood that because of Machiavelli and other political philosophers during the Renaissance, that their ideas were never really given much credence in the East. The East has always been more or less duty to family, but duty to country first, duty to your Lord. Those things work. Fear is pretty efficient. Fear is pretty motivating, but it's even more motivating is greed. And if people believe they can get rich and work towards that, even if they never will be because they can't be, it's just that much better for productivity.
I heard a guy today on the radio talking about, one of the big things that happened in this last financial crisis was, all these guys got laid off, and now that the corporate economy has recovered somewhat, they got all their bank accounts are flush with money, the stock market is high. They haven't hired people back. Because,
they don't need them.
First of all, the existing people that are there have become more efficient and more productive, but they're also starting to come in and replace people with robots.
Right.
And with computers and machines. It's the Industrial Revolution. It's going to happen a lot faster than what it did back in the day when it was a steam engine. this stuff is going to happen much quicker because now we have all this communications, all these robotics, computers, supercomputers, quantum computing, and all this stuff. Dude, like you said, 10 to 20 years, man, and we're going to see a technological revolution. It's not going to be industrial. It's going to be tech take over everything, and there's no more labor market. And if we don't think about a way to solve that really quickly here, we're going to end up on this slippery slope where we're never going to be able to recover, and there's going to be a permanent underclass.
And there's only one way to prevent something like that from happening, and that is that society now, and I mean globally, need to shed their governments and reduce them down to the very lowest power available to them. And then for the cherry on top, you need to make higher education free no matter what. No matter how high that I go. If I want to go to medical school, it's free. Everything's paid for by society. Because higher education means higher productivity and a higher quality of life, and that will just continue our ascent as a species. If we don't do that, we're going to see an Elysium scenario. A shitty world, depleted of resources, overpopulated with everyone on the verge of starvation, and a very, very advanced elite class that rules over us with robotic enforcement.
And then it'll be like H.G. Wells' story, The Time Machine, where you end up with almost like a split in civilization if it gets to that point.
We're already living with Morlocks, Nick. Look around at Walmart.
But it could seriously get to that point. And now the other big point I wanted to make about futurism and stuff like that, and going about making these kind of solutions, is that we need to rethink the corporate and bureaucratic structure to where it's cooperatism, more or less, where the people own and are in charge of everything, and you could eliminate all the bureaucrats and replace them with technology. That's one place where we could really put this technology to use, is replacing Congress and all these guys. Right. You don't need them.
They don't serve a purpose, to be honest. I mean, really ask yourself, what do they do? Because they've for a long time already stopped representing any of the interests of any segment of the public at all. It's now just for sale. In fact, with the new decision by the Supreme Court that funding for political means could be unlimited and now anonymous because people are speech and money is speech. I mean, the political process is completely now I think it's called an oligarchy. I believe now that if you're not rich enough to throw $1 or $2 million at a representative here and there, that you can't be heard at all, period.
Well, I'd have more faith in a system that was based on a phone app and some kind of like Google algorithm, as long as it was open source and transparent. I'd have more faith in something like that than I would have in these 500 and whatever dudes that are up at the top making all the decisions for us. Because let's face it, how often does the guy that you actually vote for win? That's if you even vote. And how many
you vote? Who votes?
Exactly. And how much of percentage of the population actually votes? I think it was like 20% of the people that were of voting age actually voted, which means less than 20% of the population voted for either Romney or Obama, and then those guys get full on control over your life if they want.
And guess how they got to where they're at? You see what I mean? Guess how you got to choose between Secret Society member A and corporate lackey B, and that's the only choices that you have. You have Skull and Bones and you have Fortune 500 lackey. That's the only choices you had. That was it. The vetting process, the whole Democratic and Republican conventions, that's all BS. The men are chosen already long time ago. So until we get to the point where my smartphone can vote for one of, I don't know, 8 candidates and there's 8 parties, I don't know, however many we need, we can't get by on 2 anymore. It's just not going to work. We can't let this persist. I mean, not anybody with a brain, at least.
No, there's no way in hell. And I turn on I pull up some clips this morning from mainstream, and guess you know what it is, and you know what was trending today on Facebook? Jeb Bush and Hillary Clinton, 2016.
That's the runoff. Listen, if you want to know who your choices are for 2016 president, you have Democrat Hillary Clinton, you have Republican Jeb Bush, and that's it. Pick your choice right now. What brand of fascism do you want to bow down to with your cheeks spread wide open?
So we have, all right, do you want JP Morgan or Goldman Sachs?
Right. The illusion of choice is just tiring. It's pathetic. It makes me sad sometimes to talk to people that live here and wonder what the hell they do with their time all day, that they don't know how our processes work and how everything's completely fake, and how I have to live in a country with these people. And I really, if there's one thing we could do, Nick, to make this country a better place and therefore the world, it's taking the power out of the uninformed people's hands, getting rid of this shamocracy and turning it into something real, a real democracy with a republic that'll stand behind it. I mean, if we need to go to you need to agree to vote or something like that, where you need to prove your intelligence or something to vote, where we don't let this tyranny of the voting minority continue to happen, but something's got to give.
Yeah, man, it's really hard to say. It's for me, I look at democracy and I just see it every time failing over and over again. You know, and so in my opinion, I don't know, man, I've kind of lost faith in democracy because it always ends up being that same thing. You know, a few people vote and a guy wins and then he becomes your dictator for a certain amount of years. You know, and it sucks. And then they get to ruin your economy, send you off to war to die, send off your family members to die in war, to get mental illness, PTSD, just like happened to my brother. You know, and you don't have no say in it. I didn't want that war. I didn't vote for that guy. Why do they get to send my family to go fight? It doesn't make any sense.
Right.
I just don't get it.
It'll just continue to happen until, people stop going and volunteering, I guess.
It's got to be the technology, man. We got to. Not only do we got to solve this crisis of employment, which believe me, it's going to be big time. This employment crisis, it already started. We're already seeing that we have the lowest participation of the labor force, pretty much ever. You know, so it's already started. Most of the blue-collar jobs are already being replaced by machines. And then the white-collar jobs are being outsourced, and then sooner or later they're going to be replaced by machines. Then you're going to have a bunch of guys in China that aren't going to have any jobs too. Then what? Then they're really going to have to start up a war so that they can continue their fake economy for a while. It's like, when does the madness end? It's like, when does the cycle stop? How long? How many trial and error? How many times do we have to see it and keep writing books and philosophy about, well, this is where we went wrong, but then every time we continue it on and we keep redoing the same exact mistakes over and over again. It's like, when are we finally going to figure it out? I mean, I think that's the next step in humanity, is figuring out, okay, finally, we figured out that we can rule and govern ourselves. We don't need anyone doing it for us. With the help of technology, for all the big things that obviously are huge things that the collective needs to benefit from, like healthcare and education. Those are things that will have to be figured out through technology. But we really do got to get rid of this bureaucracy, man. And it's like with the police and all that stuff, they just don't represent us anymore. They don't protect us. They protect the banks. They protect the interests. They start up all these wars. I mean, who knows what they're going to do next? And who knows what they have in store with all these banker suicides? We don't know. But all we do know is that we should, and now that we've realized that it's not a sustainable system, we just start building our way out of it.
Well, these banker suicides are getting rid of whistleblowers or potential whistleblowers or people that know too much or people that were considered threats, because the implosion is going to happen and they're going to blame it on hacking. Something that came out today was that ATMs that use XP will no longer be updated through Microsoft. 95% of ATMs in the US use XP. All right. If you don't understand, if you can't connect the dots that this will be an electronic bank run, it'll be blamed by on hackers, probably Iranian, and that it'll lead to not only the collapse and FEMA camp scenario and martial law scenario, but also will bring about another proxy war, because of course we have to fight those who hacked into our financial system. Get a clue, man. Just get a clue. That's what's coming. That's what's coming. If you have a lot of money in your bank and you're not using it, get it out, put it into something that you can protect yourself. It's safer than being on a computer and a number. That's your labor. I mean, when things get tough and people have limited resources to spread around and the trucks stop coming into the major megalopolises, you think you're going to trade in dollars? That'll last maybe a day.
Now, I was thinking about some stuff today, man, and it's like some of these things are just so blatant now, like how this CNN guy, the quote-unquote aviation editor of CNN, apparently they have an aviation editor.
You mean the CIA liaison?
Yeah,
CNN?
a failing media business can afford to have a aviation editor. And apparently he was on this plane 3 weeks before it goes down. He was chilling with the pilot, took a couple selfies on Instagram, and this is what I want to get to real quick. The EFF put out an article today, the Electronic Frontier Foundation. They're pretty renowned when it comes to knowing and talking about electronic rights, freedom of speech, internet rights, internet freedom, things like that.
Right.
And they brought up these fusion centers again, which kind of have been flying under the radar for a while. But these fusion centers are these big data collection centers that are kind of like this hub between the police, the FBI, the CIA, this, that, and the other, the NSA, and they connect all the information together. Now, what I was thinking, man, is because some of these conspiracies are just so blatant, man, like this whole Sandy Hook thing, how they tore down the elementary school and all this stuff. It's like they're intentionally throwing out this red meat for the conspiracy theorists for bait. So that they can grab your info, they can see who posts about it, they can see who buys into it, and then they throw you right into this fusion center algorithm. And all right, when shit hits the fan, this is a guy we've definitely got to watch out for. These are the 10 million people that are going to give us trouble. Right.
Of course. It's way more than that. And there's people within their own ranks that are those people. Anybody that has a conscience, that has, instead of a black heart, a white heart, anybody that's made of light, that's good, understands what's going on. They get it. They understand the evil that's approaching. I hate to take those kind of terms, good and evil, because they always have religious or spiritual connotations, but it's getting to that point. It's easy to see the sheer debauchery going on in law enforcement and proxy wars and abuses and pedophile rings and you name it. Anything awful is just not only being reported, but over-reported and now being glorified, okay? And it's such obvious manipulation to somebody who's awake and who's conscious and who not only is conscious, but has a conscience and can understand what's going on around them and understand what the end game really truly is. It's not the enslavement of the human race. It's going to be, to the people in charge, the purification of the human race by getting rid of all of these undesirables. It's World War III, but it's really World War II times a million.
And, this is the thing. There's no going back. There's no erasing your identity from the internet. There's no unposting stuff that you posted. So believe me, if you posted anything questioning Sandy Hook or questioning the Boston bombing or anything like that, believe me, you're already on a list, and there's no going back from that.
And so, God forbid you have some morals and some ethics and some kind of quandary with what's going on. You don't tear down a building that's a crime scene. You do not do that. You don't.
And now the thing is that, this dilemma gives us no choice but to win. If we don't win, we're all screwed because we've all already done and said too much. So it doesn't really give us a choice. That's why we can't back down from this, and it's time sensitive because now all the drones and all the autonomous technology is coming into play. It looks like we got a caller on. Hey, you're on the Anti-Media Radio. What's going on?
Hey, now it's Patty Beers.
Hey, how you doing?
All right.
So Patty is one of the people that were arrested at the Kelly Thomas protest. They're also known as the Fullerton 14, I believe. And she's actually the journalist that wrote the story today that we talked about a bit earlier about mental illness and how there's just an overwhelming amount of police brutality going on against the mentally ill. So did you want to talk about any of that? I know you were down in Ventura covering some other police protests and stuff like that. What did you want to talk about?
Well, yesterday I was in Venice Beach here in LA. I don't know. which, I mean, we could talk about a lot of things. What are you most interested in right now? I mean, the Venice Beach thing is something that just happened. I don't know.
Well, I kind of did want to get more into how the police target the mentally ill and the homeless.
Oh, okay. Well, my son is diagnosed with high-functioning autism. It's kind of like Asperger's. So he might appear like a regular guy or not. It's kind of vague, you know, when you meet my son. But as he was growing up, I would hear stories in the communities. I was involved, like, in the Tourette syndrome community also, because my son also was diagnosed with Tourette. And we would hear these stories of, you know, some teenage kid with autism is at the gas station, and the cops give him, like, 2 different orders. And the kid doesn't know which one to do, and he's not understanding the cop, but he doesn't follow the orders right, and then they shoot him. And it's kind of like a fear, like, that always was in the back of my head, like, with my son, that, you know, he wants to, you know, he just wants to be like everybody else. He just wants to do what everybody else does. So, you know, he wants to, you know, every day go to the store and get a snack if he wants, and he wants to be independent, and he doesn't want to be coddled, and, you know, he doesn't, you know, he's like, I'm a grown man, Mom, you don't need to be, like, protecting me anymore. But, you know, I'm still scared, like, you know, what if that happens? What if, you know, there's cops and they give him orders and he doesn't understand, and, you know, it's just a crazy thing to be scared that my kid is going to get killed, you know?
Right. That wouldn't even be a consideration in a country like, I don't know, Sweden.
Yeah, it's like, you know, we talked earlier about how the Nazis kind of migrated over after World War II in this Operation Paperclip, where it's like all the brains of the Nazi regime actually became part of the U.S. government, and they got asylum. No one ever knew their name. They changed their name. They got new identities. They basically ended up in this witness protection type program as long as we got to tap into their brains. And we all know that the Nazis also targeted the mentally ill back when they were doing their, you know,
oh, yeah. Well,
fanatical
you know, that
cleansing.
Also is, like, why is the term Asperger's? Like, why was Asperger's made a diagnosis in, I believe it happened in Germany. It was somewhere in Europe. They didn't have any autistic people in Europe because if there are people who had autism who could work and function in society, they weren't killed. So now during the Nazis killed all the autistic people, right? They killed all the mentally ill people. Anybody who couldn't work in society was killed. So they had all these people who were able to do certain kind of work, but weren't really, like, socially, they're kind of like socially behind everyone else. So Hans Asperger made this new diagnosis called Asperger's syndrome, which today would be called high functioning autism, which is, it's a really interesting connection to the Nazis. And then another twist on that is now from the opposite side, LAPD, NYPD, all of the police stations across the country are now going to Israel, and they're trained in Israel how to handle crowds and how to do their police work, and they're becoming more and more militarized and getting this militarized training from Israel. And I don't know, I'm wondering if they, like, practice killing Palestinians. I don't know, like, I feel like LAPD sees the citizens of Los Angeles like Israel sees Palestine or Palestinians. I don't know, it's tripped.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they no longer see us as serving and protecting and working for us. You know, they're starting to realize, okay, well, we don't actually work for these guys. We actually, our job is to protect property, which is, you know, who owns all the property? We know that only a handful of people basically own all the property in this country and basically in the world. So if the cops are working to protect property and only a handful of people own basically all the property, then who exactly are they working for? Not us.
Well, if 82 people in the world own 50% of the world's wealth, we have every policeman in the world working for 82 people.
Basically. Hey, Patty,
Yeah,
thanks for calling in. We're coming to the end of our show here. I'll get you back on here pretty soon, and we're glad to have you on the anti-media team. Thank you, guys. See you guys on Wednesday.
All right, thanks.
I'ma let them know through the stereo. Yo, here we go through the stereo.